MacVoices is supported by Text Expander by Smile. Find out just how powerful a few keystrokes can be at textexpander.com. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this show is going to do almost triple duty because we're going to do a road to Macstock, but we're going to talk to the presenter who is doing two different kinds of sessions at Macstock. And we're also going to talk about his latest field guide, which has to do with Keyboard Maestro. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. David Sparks. David, it's good to see you.
Hi, Chuck. I totally forgot we were talking about Keyboard Maestro today. So let's do that.
Yeah, let's talk about all of them because, you know, you're just a busy guy, man.
No rest for the wicked.
Yeah, amen. But no, so we want to hit Macstock first because, you know, that's the one where we don't tell everybody exactly what you're talking about, but we sort of talk around it. So the first thing on the Macstock side is the 500th edition of Mac Power Users.
Yeah, hard to believe. 500 episodes. We're going to record episode 500 in front of a live audience. And we were looking at setting up like an event, but I went to Macstock last year and I'm like, you know, this is the family here. And why don't we just do it there? And we talked to the Macstock organizers. They were super friendly about it. Mike's a great guy. And we're going to do it live. It's going to be fun.
I think it's such a great idea. You know, it's the perfect way to celebrate a major event like that. And Mac Power Users has been kicking around now for quite some time.
10 years. Not as long as MacVoices, I don't think, but 10 years. Time.
Yeah, I got you by, I think, just a few months because you had been doing something, I think, previous to that. And then Mac Power Users came on. So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. This is of the 500 shows. This is the first show I will have no role in the planning. Stephen wants to do all the planning for this show. So I have no idea what we're going to do. I'm going to show up with my good looks, and there we go.
Well, he was on the show. He did his road to Macstock as part of this, and he mentioned something about shooting you out of a cannon. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, no. Yeah. I don't know how that will go, Chuck. I'm a little nervous.
Well, surprise.
I wonder if they'll let me pack a mattress as a carry-on. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, I'm sure you can get one of the mail order mattresses to deliver to Macstock morning up if necessary. No, I mean, I think it's great. Mac Power Users really has made a name for itself, and you know, it's gone through a co-host change and just came out just as strong on the other side, and just keeps delivering information.
We miss Katie, but Steven's great, and show's doing great.
Yeah, and that's not easy to make those transitions.
Yeah. Well, in this case, I was lucky because I had a Rockstar for the new replacement, so it was made a lot easier.
Yeah. Rockstar to Rockstar. So that's the first thing you're going to be doing. But then what else? You're going to be actually doing a Macstock session. What are you talking about? Yeah,
it's funny because this year the show is all about creativity. And, you know, me, I like to talk about productivity, which, you know, was last year's subject. But to me, there is an important nexus between the two. And I have a little bit of an axe to grind, Chuck, to be honest with you, because I talk so much about figuring out how to get your life together that a lot of times people will write me and they'll say, well, you know, that's all great, but I'm an artist, and insert your name of artistry here, whether you're a furniture maker or you paint canvas or whatever you do that you consider art. And they say, well, I can't use all these tools because it gets in the way of my creativity. And there's this myth that to be creative, you have to be, you know, kind of fly by night and not really have a plan. But over on the Focused podcast, we've talked to a lot of artists and Mac Power Users over the years. And I've come to the conclusion that it's the people who really make a living at art are quite often very productive. They're very productive. They think a lot about how to hold it together, how to create space to make art. And I thought it would be fun to talk about that. So to enable creativity, you also have to have a system. And That's the idea behind the show. I'm going to be talking about how to get the noise out of your brain and do planning and using digital calendars. It's going to be admittedly a little productivity focused, but it's going to be all through the lens of creativity, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I like that, and I think you're right. That is a myth. I think we can all get paralysis by productivity if you're not careful, because you're trying to organize too many things and trying to use all these great tools. You got to pick the ones that work for you and use them the way that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what things or what to-do list manager you use, but I'm sure that if we use the same one, we probably use them differently.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that the knock against getting organized is that it's very easy to turn. You've heard the term productivity porn, where you spend all of your time figuring out systems that you don't actually do anything, and that is a huge risk. I want to address that in this session as well. And I think though there is a happy medium where you can put all these computers and digital technologies, this Apple ecosystem, to serve art. And one of the things I've always loved about being part of the Apple ecosystem is so often there are so many great people or creators of whether they're artists or musicians or whatever that use Apple products precisely because they get out of the way and let you create art. But I want to bring some intentionality to that. And I'm just the session is in its outline format now, so talk about being productive. I'm still working on it, but I've got some really good ideas, and I hope it'll be something that people haven't heard before, and maybe take away a few tips and figure out some ways to create their art.
I really like what you just said about having a system or systems get out of the way, that they're not in place as an obstacle that you have to get through to get to your productivity or your art or whatever it is you're doing. But you creatively pick the systems that work for you so that things do get out of your way and you have a clear path to where you're trying to go. And if that's with a paintbrush or a colored pencil, that's great. And if it's with, novel writing, that's fine. Whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah. We need space to create art. I want to help you create it.
So will you be, do you create any kind of art, David?
All kinds, man. Can you see back there my little saxophones?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're a musician. I forgot about that.
And I do that. I think that programming can be art. Creating macros can be, a lot of this stuff can become art, depending on how you look at it. If you're taking a novel or creative approach to solve a problem, I think there's an opportunity for art to form. So, I'm not going to be talking about how to draw a picture, but I just want to give you room to make that picture.
I like that, and I agree with you about the programming and a dozen other activities, because I see people that are skilled at so many different things, and it is artistic. It may not be what most people think of as artistic, but it can be very elegant and evoke emotions, and that to me is my definition of art. If it makes me feel something, it's art.
Yeah, my day job, I'm a lawyer, and I deal with a lot of really smart lawyers all the time. And it's fascinating to me how many of the really great attorneys I've met have a creative outlet. Like maybe they do watercolor, or maybe they build furniture, or they have some sort of outlet, because I feel like it's the same thing. Solving problems for clients, it requires a degree of creativity and artistry to do it properly. And I know there's people rolling their eyes right now. I get it. But in so many professions and things you do in life, an artist's mind can make a difference. I'm really looking forward to all of the speakers this year at Macstock.
Yeah, I am too. And I have to say, because while I'm not an attorney, I work in an area there that I encounter a lot of attorneys, and I've seen some, I would have to consider them artistic openings and closings, because they were so effective and so eloquent that it was art. It didn't border on art. It was art.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we have that to look forward to. We have 500 editions of Mac Power users to celebrate. So it's going to be a lot of fun at Macstock. But
Yeah.
David, is this your third trip to
Second,
Macstock?
my second.
Okay.
I'd been threatening to go for years, but just various scheduling commitments. It's in the summer a lot of times. Try to spend time with the family in July. But just last year I was able to go. I had such a good time. I wanted to come back this year. And it really reminds me in a lot of ways of the old days at Macworld. In fact, I saw a lot of old friends that I had not seen since the last Macworld when I went last year. But I also made a bunch of new friends, so that was cool too. And so I really liked it. That's why I wanted to bring Mac Power Users episode 500 back this year, and I'm looking forward to speaking. It's a lot more intimate than Macworld. I mean, Macworld was a zoo in all the good ways and bad ways that zoos are zoos. But this is a fun time.
So let me ask you this. This is your second time back. Obviously, the first one convinced you enough. What would you say to someone who's on the bubble that is thinking about it like you? They've thought about it for years. What really pushed you over the edge, or what would you tell them to push them over the edge to get them to come?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as Macworld in the old days. It's the tribe. I mean, it's not. There's great content there. There's great content all over the place these days. But there's very few places in the world where a group of people who are enthusiastic about getting a lot out of their Apple technology, who want to talk about Apple scripts, or who want to share their favorite iPhone apps. And, there's just not many places in the world where people like that gather together. And if you show up and come to this, you're going to be surrounded by those people. You're guaranteed to make friends. And I think this is something, particularly if you're the type of person that's introverted. And I'm that way, to tell you the truth. I'm extroverted. If you put me in front of a crowd, I'm fine. But you put me one-on-one with somebody, and I have trouble talking to people. I'm just not good at that. But here you've got an immediate starting place with every person you talk to. So you go and you just introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you. And it doesn't matter whether they've made 500 podcasts or they've never done anything publicly about the Mac. They all have the same foundational love for these Apple products. And it's just a lot of fun. But it's the people, honestly. That's what should get you there is the fact that you get to hang out with the tribe, and you don't get to do that very often.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I find it more and more. Those are the reasons I go to certain conferences. Yes, the content is great, and I learn a lot. Just I almost can't help but learn a lot. But it's the people. It's making those connections, both old and new, that keeps you coming back. So, good job. Before we leave Macstock, I believe Mr. Potter has given everyone a speaker code for a discount on admission, and your code would be?
I don't remember, Chuck.
Well, I will have it in the lower thirds, right down there.
Yes, it will be down there.
It will be down there.
I apologize to Michael. I've not done a good job of marketing for him, but I will get it and I will put it in there.
All right. Well, yeah, and I'll make sure it's in. Yes, I'll make sure it's in the show notes and in the lower thirds. So I'm kind of guessing it might be MacSparky, but
I think it is, but I don't want to say that and get it wrong. So sorry about that.
Yeah. So check the show notes, folks.
Yeah.
Smile and Text Expander are sponsoring this edition of MacVoices. Do you want to do something quick and easy to improve your productivity? Want something that is bulletproof that will improve the quality of your work? Are you looking for a utility that can integrate with just about any program on your Mac to make it better? If so, you're looking for Text Expander from Smile. Text Expander works pretty much everywhere on the Mac, inside just about any program. Desktop publishing, email, web publishing, browsers, task management applications, chat applications, the list goes on and on. Because all of those require text entry, and Text Expander helps you enter text quickly and accurately. Have a word, phrase, paragraph, or page that you need inserted regularly? Text Expander does it with a few keystrokes. Have a word that you misspell frequently? Text Expander can help you fix that so that it never happens again. Want to standardize wording to customer inquiries across your entire team? Text Expander is the answer. With almost no learning curve and massive payback on the time invested, you should be using Text Expander. Visit TextExpander.com right now Download a free trial and find out what so many of the productivity experts already know. Text Expander from Smile, the makers of world-class software. Thanks to Smile for being the longest-running sponsor of MacVoices. But I also wanted to make sure that since I got you here, that we touch on your latest field guide on Keyboard Maestro.
Yeah.
This is a pretty intense program, and
Yeah. It was a tough one.
yeah. How did you? I mean, how do you organize yourself to get through it?
I wrote down in my list of potential titles over 5 years ago, Keyboard Maestro with a question mark next to it. And this was, I think, my third attempt to make a field guide on it. And it's a tough nut to crack because Keyboard Maestro is the most powerful, macro automation tool available on the Mac. Absent a scripting language like AppleScript or JavaScript or something like that. But in terms of a program where you can sit without a lick of programming knowledge and automate your Macintosh, it is Keyboard Maestro. And the problem I ran into is that it's complicated, so I needed to figure out how to make it simple, but I still need a lot of data. Like when I was trying to do it through iBooks Author, the problem was you can only have 2 gigabytes of video, and there's just too much to cover here. I couldn't make it fit. So I've ran at this topic several times, but I finally got it right with this latest version. I'm now distributing these video field guides through learn.MacSparky, which allows me to put as many hours of video as I need. And this one ended up, I think, over 4 hours. And it's great. And it was just a lot of fun making it. And I've heard from so many customers already that are just having a great time using Keyboard Maestro to, get their work done. So I'm really happy with the release of it.
So 4 hours of video, at the risk of asking the obvious, what kind of things do you do? I mean, are you showing features? Are you giving examples?
Well, Keyboard Maestro, like so much automation, fundamentally is 2 things: triggers and actions. So there's a trigger. A trigger may be you typing a keyboard string on your keyboard, or it may be something automatically happening, like you connect to a Wi-Fi signal. And then once the trigger is triggered, then there's actions you have. So an action could be, you close an application or you do something. So Keyboard Maestro, the challenge with Keyboard Maestro is there is a seemingly unlimited number of triggers and seemingly unlimited number of actions. And so you just get lost in it as a user. You don't know where to start. So what I did is there's sections in this field guide that break down every possible trigger, and then there's sections that break down every possible action. So you have kind of this encyclopedic knowledge of all the tools. But then there's another section where I just solve a bunch of problems using combinations of actions and triggers. And it's kind of 50-50 from the people who've been going through the course. Some of them like going through it, learning all the actions and triggers, and then going back and making their own things. Other people like to jump to the completed Keyboard Maestro scripts because they're downloadable, so you can just download the ones I show you and start using them, and then they kind of reverse engineer, and it just kind of depends on how you like to do this stuff. But either way, that's how I solved the problem of teaching Keyboard Maestro, and it's worked out great. People really like it. A good example is using the Wi-Fi trigger. Let's say you go to Starbucks, and when you go to Starbucks, you always know you have a risk of getting lost in Facebook, or maybe you have problems. You go there to get work done, but you always get distracted. Well, you could say, anytime my MacBook sees that I've joined the Starbucks Wi-Fi, close all my browser tabs and open Microsoft Word or open email or open whatever program it is you need to get your work done. And then you could even have it put a message on the screen and say, stay focused, or whatever. So you can build all this stuff out, but you do it around these automatic triggers like your Wi-Fi signal. And it's really powerful. And everybody gets to create their own experience with it. I mean, everybody's really excited about Siri shortcuts and the updates, and they're really powerful. But honestly, Siri shortcuts still can't hold a candle to a Mac with Keyboard Maestro when you look at all the automation available.
I like the way that you split it because I have to say sometimes I want the encyclopedic version so I can kind of go start to finish and have an idea of the capabilities that are in there. But I usually need a few examples to get me started. That,
Okay.
okay, this is how it works, or this is how it could work.
Yeah.
I don't always necessarily reverse engineer, but it's almost okay. I need to think about how to use this, and then
Yeah.
I need to know how to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I did. I'm real happy with the way it came out. It's got a few other things that I've kind of evolved as I go through this. It's all closed caption now. There's transcripts of every video, and I don't know. I'm just really proud of the way it came out. It's been I've been making field guides since 2012. I was writing books before that, and I just feel like everything leads up to the next thing. And I'm really proud of where these things are at now. I feel like you get good value when you buy one of these courses. You're going to really learn whatever it is I'm teaching.
Uh, I, I mean, I've gone through a couple of yours and some of the books before that, and you have a very approachable style to things, and that's it's not preachy, and it's not too technical, but it's technical enough, which
Yeah,
might surprise some people that I would say that, given some of the topics that Mac Power Users digs into. But you
yeah.
really do keep it so that it can be accessed by just about anyone.
Well, like one of the things I did with this is I did not teach scripting. I did not teach Apple script because one of the things you can do in Keyboard Maestro is trigger an Apple script. But that's not the focus of this course. This course is about how to use Keyboard Maestro, not how to write Apple script. That would have to be a whole nother thing. It would go from a 4-hour course to a 20-hour course if I tried to teach an Apple script at the same time. But it's great because my point is you don't need to be a programmer to automate a lot of the stuff you do on your Mac. Like one of the triggers is USB. So if I plug in, I see you have a ScanSnap scanner behind you. I share the script in the course. If you plug in your ScanSnap scanner or whatever scanner you've got, it can detect that it's received a scanner. And at that point, it opens the scanning software, and then it opens your Finder to the folder where your scans go, and it closes all your other applications so they get out of the way. So you could have a thing where whenever you plug in your scanner, your computer automatically sets itself up for scanning mode. And it sounds silly, but it takes only about 5 or 10 minutes to do this. And now every time you scan for the rest of your life, that's done for you. And the trigger not only works when you plug it in, it also works when you unplug it. So you could say, when I unplug the scanner, close the scanning software, close the Finder window, and reopen my task manager, or just clear out my desktop for me. So it's just really nice to be able to make your Mac dance for you like that.
Yeah, and it can become addicting because once you start down that road, you find all kind of different things to do that, yeah, some of them are just fun to play with, and some of them are just because you can. But if you really discipline yourself just a little, it can honestly make your Mac so much more productive.
Oh yeah, like one of my favorite groups is my setups, where I just hit caps lock plus S, Brett Terpstra's famous Omni key or whatever he calls it. And when I do that, it just gives me a list. Are you going to write contracts? Are you going to podcast? It just gives me a list of common things I do on my Mac. And I just type the first letter to whatever that corresponds to, and it completely sets my Mac up for that work, you know. So if I'm doing legal work, I get a whole bunch of legal stuff on my screen. If I'm doing podcasting, I get all my podcasting tools rolling. Whatever it is I'm going to do, all I hit is that caps lock S and then the corresponding key, and my Mac sets itself up. That saves me so much time every day. It also gives my nerd self a little bit of delight because it's just fun watching your Mac set itself up for you. But I mean, it's like I can't think of how much time it saves me in a single day. And the way I set it up is, once I created it once, I just figured out how to make the script. I duplicated it like 10 times and then just reset the apps and the windows the way I wanted them. So the actual creation of it really didn't take that long. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff you can do with Keyboard Maestro. And I really wanted to focus on it. I mean, I've talked before and done courses on Text Expander and Hazel, which are also very powerful automation tools. Keyboard Maestro kind of scratches a different itch. It's way more customizable, and I wanted to kind of focus on that for this course.
So 4 hours of video, David, can this be consumed offline, or do I have to have an internet connection to use it?
No, with Learn.MacSparky, all the courses are downloadable, and you can download. The way it's broken up into bite-sized pieces and chapters, so you can download the individual bites, or at the bottom of the course, I have combined videos where I combined a bunch of them into one. So it's like, I think it's something like 5 gigabytes. You can't download it all as one file, but you can download it. I think it's like 6 or 7 files, the whole course. But you can also download just the individual courses if you want. And once you download them, there's no DRM. I'm on the Trust system. And so you can put it into your photos library and watch it on an airplane or do whatever.
Good.
Just don't share it, because this is how I pay for my shoes.
Yeah, well, that's your shoes, David?
Yeah, my shoes, man. I need shoes.
Okay. Interesting way to posture that.
And my Yoda.
And your Yoda, yeah, there you go. I knew Star Wars was going to get in here somehow. So that is learn.macsparky.com.
Yeah.
How much is the course?
$29.
Okay.
But we will have a code that will go up for a week after the show. If you say Chuck is awesome, you get $5 off. How's that?
Well, thank you. That's great. Is that with spaces or all together?
No spaces.
No spaces. Okay. Just to make
Chuck
sure.
is awesome.
Chuck is awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you on behalf of everyone. We appreciate that. And folks, I tell you, you really need to go and check this out. If you have any interest in Keyboard Maestro, this is a great way to learn it. And if you have any interest in any of the other topics that David covers in his field guides, check those out too.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. So, and the Macstock, don't forget. David's code will be right down there, whatever it is. My code is MacVoices. Use David's, use mine. I don't care. But the important thing is to get to Macstock in Woodstock, Illinois at the end of July. David's going to be there. I'm going to be there. A lot of the people you've heard on the road to Macstock are going to be there. We're going to have a great time. We want you to join us.
Yeah, and just I guess I would add to that, if you are attending a Macstock and you like any of the stuff I do and you don't say hello to me, I will be offended. You need to say hello to me.
He doesn't bite.
It's weird. I am micro famous, where there's a very small group of people that like the stuff I do, but they like it a lot. So I'm not a celebrity type, at all. My wife is right now angry because I haven't taken the trash out yet. But so please, I would love to meet you if you're interested in this stuff and you're there. Please say hello. Yeah,
definitely. And say hello to everybody. That's just it. There's so many great people there that, you'll see on podcasts, you'll see on MacVoices, you might see them on Mac Power Users, or they might be up and coming stars. So, but at the end of the day, they're just people. We're all going to have a great time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
David, I'll see you in a few weeks.
Can't wait. Wait, Chuck.
Agreed. Stay out of trouble until then.
I'll try. Or at least I won't get caught. How's that?
I like that.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. One more time, learn.macsparky.com for David's field guide on Keyboard Maestro and lots of other things, and macstock2019.com to meet David and I at David and I, whatever. Meet us both at Macstock. As always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.